Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is the Uncensored Anime Podcast. This is episode 21. This is where we talk about all things anime uncensored. I am one of the hosts, David. We got Kenny. We got Jerry. And today, we're just going to talk about some anime. We're going to be just rapid-firing some news that we got off the cuff. And we're going to be doing a long-awaited review. Right? I guess not really long-awaited, but a review of High Rise Invasion that dropped on Netflix recently. So, Jerry, as usual, I'll turn it to you. What's the first bit of news that we want to talk about today?
Truly an anime of culture, High Rise Invasion is. That's the truth. But I'm excited to get into it tonight, boys, and talk more about High Rise Invasion. It's a show that earlier this year, when we first talked about it, when the trailer dropped, there was some interest. We had some interest in it. So I'm I guess I'm unfortunately prepared to tell you all our feelings on the show after watching the whole season because it dropped all together on Netflix. So we will see how that comes or how that ends up. But I think the biggest news that everyone is probably talking about in the anime industry right now, or in the anime fandom, sorry, not industry, in the anime fandom, has got to be that finally, after a few months of waiting, you know, the movie came out in October in Japan. So after a few months of waiting, here in the States, Demon Slayer's film Mugen Train has finally received some official information about when the film will be dropping. So for those of you listening that are interested, the film will be releasing in theaters. I believe the date is April 23rd, is maybe 22nd and 23rd, I think. And it will be there'll be subbed and dubbed options in theaters. And those tickets are going to go on sale. Yep, those tickets are going to go on sale on April 9th, okay? But then additionally, 2 months after the movie appears in theaters, then we will be getting a digital release. So you'll be able to buy the movie digitally via things like Apple TV, Microsoft Store, Vudu, yada, yada. So you'll still have to buy it. It won't be available for free on streaming platforms, at least not that I can gather. So, yes, the movie is getting a full-blown theatrical-only release, which seems... I don't want to use the word odd. Right? No, it seems a bit... maybe not premature, because there are lots of other things that have opened up already, and theaters think it's time for them as well, or whatever. And this is kind of another... I mean, this is going to get people back in theaters, for sure. I think that all these showings around the nation will probably near sell out. I'm sure they'll fill the theaters as best they can. And so if you have any interest in getting your hands on some of those tickets, be ready on April 9th to pick those tickets up, because... yeah, so that means some of us will be seeing the movie in about a month and a half. So that's awesome for those that are willing or interested in going to the movie theater with all their weeb friends while a pandemic is not still fully under control in the United States. If that's your slang, man, then we'll see.
I'll probably wait.
I'm certainly considering it, and only because... the only reason I'm considering it is because as of April 23rd, I'll be fully vaccinated. So I'm considering it, but we'll see if I make the jump and decide to go see it or not. I'm not sure yet.
And we just got to remember that the Oscars this year, instead of Demon Slayer Mugen Train, they went ahead with Shaun the Sheep, Wolfageddon or whatever it's called. For the nomination this year. Farmageddon.
Farmageddon.
Yeah. Shaun the Sheep.
Hey, can you get it right, dude?
Shaun the Sheep, the movie, Farmageddon, obviously better than Kimetsu no Yaiba, the Demon Train, for very obvious reasons, which is that none of the Oscar people probably watch this movie because they don't respect Japanese anime films. I don't know why.
Yeah, it seems a bit odd. Yeah, I mean... that's definitely part of the news as well to me, which is that surprisingly, with the Oscars nominations coming out, it didn't get any nominations, which I guess whatever, because the weird thing is that, the film, to my understanding, didn't get an official U.S. release, but I do remember, and we mentioned this on the podcast, I think, but they did do a weird screening in Florida a couple of months back.
Right.
And it seemed like the intent behind that screening was to get its required qualifications to be nominated. So to see it not nominated is certainly confusing to me because while I can certainly respect that Soul and Onward are nominated in the Best Animated Film category, the other three films, well, maybe Wolfwalkers, I've heard a lot of praise for that film, but Shaun the Sheep and Over the Moon, I just don't know if that really makes a lot of sense. And
it doesn't.
Yeah,
it makes no sense.
That category has always been a little disrespectful to Japanese animation, but when a Japanese anime is the third best-selling film in the entire world in a year, in the year 2020, I think it was the third, maybe it pulled into the second spot before the end of the year, I can't remember, but it just seems disrespectful to not at least try to acknowledge it, especially when, to our understanding, they went out of their way to try to get nominated by following the guidelines to qualify. So I'm really confused about that. Maybe it just didn't work for the people in the Oscars committee because of the fact that the film is like, you have to technically have watched the entire television show to understand like the plot of the movie. So like maybe that's what kind of made it a little off-putting to the Oscars committee, but it's weird. I mean, the best way I could put it is it's weird, but it's not unexpected, I guess.
Right.
People just hate reading subtitles, I guess.
Well, I mean, it's dubbed, I think.
It was probably... I can only imagine that the copy that they delivered to the Oscars committee was probably in English, I think. But, I mean, obviously the dub exists because it's coming out in theaters in a month, but
right.
Maybe it didn't exist in time. I don't know.
Yeah, and technically, I mean, they don't have to dub it. I think that in particular with like Miyazaki films, they do a really good job of dubbing it. But with a movie like Your Name, like you can just watch the anime version. And I think that after a foreign language film, a film in a foreign language won Best Picture last year, at this point, like they can just watch a sub.
Yeah. I'm pretty maximum confused. And Your Name didn't get nominated a couple years back either, did it?
I don't believe so.
Again, did A Silent Voice get nominated?
No. Which both were incredibly popular, massive tentpole anime films.
Amazing
that certainly
movies.
should have been considered for at least the Best Animated Picture category, right? Like,
yeah, and in some of the years, it's like, like some of the movies that are in the Best Animated Feature are like movies. Like I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the category is dominated by Pixar and Disney, and it seems like all the other nominees don't really they just get thrown in there just because they have to fill the category. Right. And I feel like the Oscars committee has probably like, they're just like, animated movies? I mean, the category is still pretty young. It just started in the year, I think the first year, 2001 was the first year the category ever existed. And the first winner was literally fucking Shrek.
What?
Greatly deserved. Greatly deserved.
Is that a joke?
No, this is real.
Greatly deserved.
The very first Best Animated Picture category winner in 2001 was the very first Shrek movie, beating out only 3 nominees. The 3 nominees were Shrek the movie, Jimmy Neutron the film, and Monsters Inc. So
Shrek beat Monsters Inc.
Shrek beat Monsters Inc.
That's crazy.
Okay, there's corruption all the way back to the beginning then, okay.
Bro, Shrek was icy, I guess.
Shrek was so good.
Shrek was good. The first Shrek movie was actually pretty good, right?
I mean, you got to kind of put respect on Shrek's name. I'm not going to lie.
Got it.
Yeah, it was the Evangelion of Disney movies. So,
but essentially, since Spirited Away,
Pixar.
No, it's DreamWorks.
DreamWorks. Yeah.
Let's see here. Spirited Away won the Oscar in 2002, which was the second year of its existence.
Right. And Spirited Away is owed because Disney localizes it. Like, I think that
all of Miyazaki, or
I believe so.
Yeah. Disney does all of American Miyazaki. That's why they get such high-profile voice actors.
Yep.
So then again, Howl's got nominated in 2005, but lost to Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. So that happened.
Are those movies actually good?
I don't know.
I've seen, because that's the same studio that made Chicken Run, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
The claymation
and Shaun the Sheep.
Yep, and Shaun the Sheep. And then The Wind Rises was nominated in 2013, and it got beat by fucking Frozen.
Well,
I forgot. I watched that one actually when it happened, and I just remember being salty then. But then the first wait, Kenny, what?
Animated feature it's like a kids movie category, and there are so many well-developed, interesting adult stories that are told in anime, and yet somehow the animated feature is always just, oh, what did my kids like this year? I guess I'll vote for that.
Yep.
That's how I didn't even like Frozen, to be honest. I thought Frozen was mid as fuck.
Frozen's super meh. It's super meh.
Yeah.
But the first anime film that was not Miyazaki's to get nominated for the category was The Tale of Princess Kaguya in 2014. Did get nominated, but also lost. It lost out to Big Hero 6.
I love Big Hero 6.
Big Hero 6
so
instead
of picking a movie set or created by Japanese people in Japan, they instead picked a movie made in America by American people about Japanese people. So
yeah,
pretty solid choice there. And then since that nomination in 2014, there's not been another nomination for an anime film. So, which
I feel like
makes sense.
Between now and 2014, so many amazing anime films have been created.
I mean, yeah, your name in a silent voice like should have been in this Oh wait,
what?
Mirai got nominated. My bad, I missed one. 2018, Mirai got nominated, which we have not watched here on the channel yet, but we should.
That's the one after.
It's a Mamoru Hosoda film too.
Yeah, it was. We planned on watching it, and then
we were gonna watch it, but we didn't watch it yet. But maybe we will actually. Maybe that'd be a good way to celebrate the Oscars.
It's on Netflix.
I will admit though, the film that beat Mirai was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is
that was so good. That was so good.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That's a good movie, dude.
That deserves it.
Wasn't that Sony's
movie?
Wasn't that Sony's first Oscar in that category?
Yes, yeah. It was the first time they got an animated film Oscar, dude. Pretty sweet, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks for Mirai, but so yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah, 2019 we didn't get any anime nominated, and then now in 2020 we are not getting any animated.
And the animated feature category is often like fucking like they don't even nominate. Like they could nominate way more people.
I hope Farmageddon wins. I hope it wins the damn category.
No, Soul's gonna win.
Soul's gonna win.
Soul's gonna win.
Disney pays too much money.
Soul's gonna win handily. It's like not even like. I mean, I hate it because I think in some ways I preferred Onward a little bit. I don't know. I'm torn because like they were both good animated movies, but like I think there are some aspects of Onward I really preferred, but there were aspects of Soul that I really preferred. I mean, I think Soul was a little more existential, but I think that for me Onward was a little more personal. Like it felt like a little more, I don't know, just connected. So I don't know. They're both good movies, so I'm not mad that either of those will win. But part of me just wants Farmageddon win just to give a big fuck you because they didn't nominate Demon Slayer.
I mean, it's like because they've never nominated movies like My Hero, any My Hero movies or DBZ movies or Naruto or Bleach movies. Which I mean, those are good movies, but they're not like to the standard I would say of like Your Name or Spirited Away.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
Demon Slayer the movie, like that animation, like I haven't seen it, but like I know it's gonna be better than the series than the season. Yeah. And like you can't look at that and be like, okay, yeah, this doesn't deserve any kind of recognition.
Yeah. And at least like wait, Kenny, you go.
It's like Shrek and Frozen winning in this category to like a movie like A Silent Voice just it like pisses me off that it's just totally like they're like, oh, it's from a country on the other side of the world. So
I mean that's it. I mean you have to like recognize who's like pulling the strings behind it all, like who makes it the final decisions. So it's yeah.
Whatever. Well, there you go, guys. So if you want to see Demon Slayer the film, it's finally coming to United States audience officially. So if you can purchase the film, do it. Power to you. Get it purchased and enjoy it when it comes out in June. Or if you are bold, have fun in theaters in April. So good luck to all of you that are going to do that. Kenny, what other news do we have today?
So a couple season 2s have been announced. I'm excited about a couple of them. We're talking about High Rise Invasion tonight, which is a Netflix show. And there was a a sort of lower key Netflix show called Be the Beginning that came out a couple of years ago, maybe like 2016. I watched it though. I really enjoyed it. It just sort of went to the back of my mind, you know?
Yeah, I feel like when it came out, people talked about it for like a week or two. It kind of got Netflixed, where like
it got Netflix. Yeah, the whole show came out.
All season drops. People talk about it right when it drops, but then for the most part, the discussion kind of ends there, and then it moves on. So,
and I mean, I enjoyed it a lot. I remember enjoying it. I may watch it again to see how it has held up since then. But the next season drops in a couple days. I'm excited about it. It ended on a cliffhanger, sort of. It sort of got an ending, and then gave us like a 30-second teaser that was like, okay, if we do get another season, this is what it might be about. I think it's actually like an original animation, if I remember correctly. It's not based on anything, or maybe it is. I don't know.
Be the Beginning? I think you're right.
Yeah, I think it's
I've never seen it, but
yeah, it's an original net animation. That's what it says.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it has no not inspiration. It's not based off anything.
Right, and so that's what I really enjoyed that about it, and the fact that, I don't know, like, you know, I read a lot of manga, and so oftentimes almost everything that's come into anime, I've already read, heard about, or seen already, like, you know. Yep. And so it was really interesting, and like I said, I really enjoyed it, but it's coming in like 2 days as of recording this. It comes out the 18th. Whoa. So obviously I'm excited about that. I'll watch it. But
yeah, by the time they're listening to this, it should be out. You should be able to go watch it on Netflix.
Yep. Obviously, everybody knows Megalobox is getting a season 2. Megalobox, Nomad.
Yeah. For those that haven't heard of Megalobox, it's also an original animation.
Yep. Done in the old animation style.
It was done by hand, mostly hand animated, which is a kind of not heard of nowadays. You know, most animation as of circa the 2000s started to be done mostly is done on computers. So you just don't see a lot of animators still making it by hand. Obviously, Hayao Miyazaki is like one of the prime examples of like anime still made by hand. Like The Wind Rises was still done through hand style animation. So it's still done, but it's super not heard of. So the first season of Megalobox did that. Super cool, unique story about underground sort of like boxing is the best, right? Like
yeah.
And there's kind of like a not mech, but like
yeah,
a sci-fi, retro sci-fi sort of feel is the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, it's almost like I would almost say like steampunk, but not really.
That's a good word for it.
It's like vaguely, you know, like it's not fully sci-fi.
Retro sci-fi is the best word I can think. Like old school, but with like sci-fi aesthetics.
Right, almost like Hakuna no Ken, somewhat.
It reminds me of that movie that had Hugh Jackman. With like
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Hugging real steel.
Oh, I saw that in theaters.
That was the vibe. Real Steel Megalobox. Yeah, season 2 of that should be coming out, I think, in April. It's coming fast, I think, right?
Coming soon, yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be coming super soon. I'm sure it'll be on probably Crunchyroll if I had to guess, just because. I think that's where the first season was. Yeah, so I'm sure they would. I'd hope they wouldn't sacrifice the rights to that, but we'll see.
And you know, coming up in 2 weeks, season 5. My Hero Academia.
My Hero, back at it. The arc that is being teased in the trailer has something to do with Class 1B or whatever, fighting 1A and some sort of...
Yep.
Sounds like it's a tournament arc!
Yeah, I mean, I can spoil it, but, you know...
Yeah, don't worry, don't spoil it, but...
My Hero is good. I gotta tell you, if you read manga...
anime only, so I'm anime only.
Well, after we get past this arc, Jerry, just know... shit will go down.
I think
there are like comments on YouTube. There are comments on YouTube that are like, the Class 1A versus Class 1B arc is the calm before the storm. Don't you worry. The next arc, everything's gonna hit the fan. Don't you worry.
Edgelords. Okay, let me tell you. Edgelords like the arc after next for a very clear reason. You'll know, and you're gonna be like, this is. It's good, but like seriously.
I wonder if season 5. How long is the 1A 1B arc in?
Short.
I would say like 12 episodes.
You think 12?
12?
I think.
I don't.
Because like the next part is like
I think
its own season.
For the
I think
most
it'll
part,
be 16-4 or something like that.
My assumption, David, is like the
it's like 6 episodes, and then like the rest of the season is. That's
to kind of give you a gauge, David. The chapter to episode ratio in most of My Hero episodes are about 2 to 3 chapters per episode.
Oh,
so
okay. It won't take that many episodes.
If
then.
the 1B 1A arc, so you saying like 12 episodes, would
it
imply that, like,
won't be that long then.
It was like 24 to 36 chapters, which would be a long. I mean, that seems like a long arc for My Hero.
Yeah, was that part, Kenny, like 15, 20 chapters?
Not much. It felt like, I mean, each little portion of it was only like 1 or 2 chapters. I think that it'll probably be 5 or 6 episodes. It'll probably be 6 episodes because 1 episode will just be a bullshit recap.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, that's already been confirmed.
Yeah,
but
so
they're
episode
not.
1 will,
Episode
1 will be a recap, and then I think about 5 episodes for the 1A 1B, and I think the rest of the season will be the arc after that.
Okay.
We may get into the arc following, but I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
I think
it was 23 chapters in the manga.
Okay, I think the arc after the 1B versus 1A is long, but there's a lot of action, so they might actually be able to do the rest of the season covering that entire arc. So that might. Don't look it up, Jerry.
It looks like I'm not. It looks like the arc after is called the Meta Liberation arc.
Don't look at
Jerry.
I'm not going to read about it. I just know the name. That's all. I'm just looking at the name. It ran from chapters 218 to 240, so that's about the exact same length. They're the exact same number of chapters.
Wait, really? It felt so much longer.
What's the name of the arc after that?
Endeavor Agency arc.
Oh.
It felt like really long.
It felt very long.
Maybe there's a lot of content then. I don't know. Like there were a lot of.
They were pretty heavy chapters. Some like heavy exposition.
So
according to the numbers here, it says that the 1A 1B arc ran from chapters 194 to 217, and then the Meta Liberation arc ran from 218 to 240. So that would imply that it actually implies the 1A 1B arc was 1 chapter longer.
Yeah.
And then, it was 23 chapters for the 1A 1B and then 22 chapters for the Meta Liberation arc.
Okay, I'm misremembering, but so it sounds like it'll be half of it 1A versus 1B, half of it Meta Liberation.
I bet it'll be exact. I bet it'll literally be 12 episodes 1A 1B, 12 episodes Meta Liberation. I mean, that sounds like the perfect pace to me.
Yeah.
At that point, you're doing essentially a 2 chapter an episode pace, and you get through both of those half arcs. Unless this is going to be a stupid double core season where it's like Season 5 Part 1, and then they do the Class 1A, 1B, and then Season 5 Part 2 comes out 8 months later or something,
If they do that shit, I'll be...
A lot of anime have been doing that shit lately, and it's starting to piss me off.
Attack on Titan's about to do that.
Holy shit, the current arc is still going? Paranormal Liberation War arc?
Jerry.
Yeah, it's wrapping up, though.
Yeah.
What chapter is the most recent? Can you guys tell me the number off the top of your head?
2-0, no.
No, it'd be in the 300s probably.
Oh, that's what I thought. Okay,
it's like 307. I think they just passed chapter 300.
Okay,
it is 305.
Damn. So pretty much everything. So if this season does cover through the Meta Liberation Army arc, then they'll be caught up to the current arc essentially. There's a short Endeavor Agency arc for 10 chapters.
Yeah,
but then the arc after that will jump right into the arc that's currently running. So
we probably won't get that arc though for another 2 years.
Why would it be 2 years? They've been doing a one season a year. They've done a My Hero season every year for the last 5 years?
Wasn't the last season? I thought the last season was what year is it?
No, it was last year.
I thought it was 2019. Was it 2020?
It came out in 2020.
Oh, yeah, I'm crazy.
Well, it started in late 19 and ended in 2020. Because remember the last couple episodes of season 4. They actually got delayed. The dub got delayed because of the pandemic. And I only remember that because my brothers didn't watch it. Johnny and Kenny didn't watch it. So,
Johnny and Mikey.
Literally a year ago this month, the last season ended. So, and we've pretty much had a new season of My Hero every year since the anime started. They haven't taken a break. So, in my mind,
if the current pace is kept, then we might be catching up to the manga.
Well, in my mind, if they adapt the 2 parts like we're expecting this year, then maybe late in 2021 they'll adapt the Endeavor Agency arc and the but the Paranormal Liberation War arc sounds like it would take
an entire season.
It sounds like it would take 2 seasons to adapt because it's so much longer.
Wait, sorry. How many chapters did you say the war arc was?
The Paranormal Liberation arc starts on 253, but then when does it? It's not even over yet. But
so it's like 50 plus chapters.
Yeah, so
it's about to end.
That means it's going to be like. I mean, that's hard pressed to do 50 plus chapters. I mean, they might.
There's a lot of action though.
Right.
What?
I think maybe it's 1 or 2 more chapters.
You think the arc is like literally done right now, Kenny? Like,
yeah. We're in the wind down period.
Okay, so that's interesting, and especially because Horikoshi said he sees My Hero ending in the next couple of years. So does it feel like this arc is some sort of wind up towards like a finale, or no? I mean, don't spoil it, but like in the simplest of terms, like.
Think so?
Because remember, Horikoshi said he sees the manga ending in the next few years. He recently said that in an interview.
You know, I don't want to say this because it might be a spoiler.
I think that's a fucking. I think he's fucking with us. I think he's going to end My Hero.
They say, you know what I mean though. Like he said, like manga artists will say that, and then like they won't end that shit for 5 years. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I've been ending One Piece for a while.
Oda has thrown around like, oh yeah, One Piece has 10 years left, like for 10 years at this point. Like Oda has no fucking idea how long his anime is going to take. You know what? Like his manga is going to take. So that cracks me up. But okay, cool. So that's interesting.
My Hero Academia is going to end, and My Hero Life will begin.
I am getting feelings of like a transitional thing.
Yeah, a time skip.
I'm getting feels like that, like a Naruto to Shippuden or like a One Piece time skip feel. That's what I'm kind of getting from the current chapters.
My Hero hasn't done a time skip yet, has it?
No,
not yet.
That's why I think My Hero Academia may end soon.
Yo, that would be interesting. I forget that like it's such a shonen trope at this point to do a time skip.
Yeah. We haven't had a good
time.
Good manga with a big time skip in a long time. It used to be like the thing.
I mean,
One Piece's time skip.
One Piece had a great time skip.
It did. Yeah.
I know. Bleach had a time. Did Bleach? Yeah, Bleach. Bleach kind of did.
Kind of.
It kind of did, but it was like
Eyes and Bloody War. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball, you always got to remember whenever Goku goes off and comes back and he's tall to fight Piccolo Jr.
Dragon Ball had a time skip.
Yeah.
And then Dragon Ball Z.
Even didn't Black Clover recently have a time skip or something? Or it did the anime?
Buff Asta.
Black Clover did it. Black Clover did it. So that's curious. I'd be interested to see if we get a My Hero time skip, especially just to see what happens with it. Okay, so that's all of our season 2s. Kenny, were there any season 2s we missed?
Some other ones, but like it's not, there's another season of Moriarty the Patriot coming.
Oh shit! Yeah, we've talked about that on the podcast. So
there's kind of like shitty anime getting season 2.
We live in an era of season 2s at this point. Like I feel like almost all shows when each new season come around are like season 2s or 3s or 4s.
Oh shit! There is one called The Way of the House Husband getting its first season coming up on April 8th.
We're gonna review that on this podcast for sure.
Okay, that one.
We're gonna have like a spring anime episode, I'd assume, right?
Yeah, we'll probably do our spring episode. So for those of you listening, we'll hopefully be doing our spring teaser taster episode probably the first week of April. So if you guys are out there, so we'll probably have a couple more episodes before we do that one. But that'll be our episode where we watch 13 brand new shows. We don't watch any we don't watch any season 2s or season 3s or anything. But we pick out 13 brand new anime. We watch the first episode and give our first impressions on all 13 of them in one massive episode. So our spring anime teaser episode will be coming very soon. Most likely first week of April, I think, is when all the shows will air. So that would be on the lookout. If you like those episodes, we've done 2 of them here on the channel, on the show before. So we had a lot of fun with the last 2 because we did one for we've only done 2. We did one for fall and one for winter. So we haven't done this will only be our 3rd season.
Yeah.
Kenny's like, did we do more than that?
You're crazy,
no.
Kenny.
3, bro. Come on.
This will be our 3rd one. This will be our 3rd one.
Yeah. My favorite episodes.
So that's dope. But yeah, and honestly, there's a lot of great shows. I mean, I'll just throw out a couple that most likely are going to be on a list. Just because if you're curious, right? We're probably going to watch Tokyo Revengers. We're probably going to watch To Your Eternity. Those are both shows that are on our radar of stuff that we want to watch. We're definitely going to be talking about Shaman King in that episode because, I mean, there's no way around it. It is a reboot, but it is the first episode of a brand new series, so we're going to count it probably. There was a couple others that
we'll probably watch a bullshit isekai.
Yeah, we'll pick an isekai or two.
I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level, or...
Wait, is that a real one?
That's probably
a real one coming
that
up.
Sounds real. That sounds real.
The Saint's magic power is omnipotent. I love names.
I already want to look at the list of spring anime.
I literally saved a meme earlier today that I feel like I have to share with the podcast because it was too funny for me, guys. So it was
from the Heroes Party. I decided to live a quiet life in the countryside.
This is literally all the meme said. It said anime titles then: Bleach, One Piece, Naruto. Anime titles now. I was minding my own business going to high school one day when I got reincarnated into another world with my refrigerator.
What the fuck?
That was the entire
shit.
Somebody needs to go ahead and make a parody of that.
The last piece of news we want to touch on before we move on, I think this will be the last one, is that for those of you that haven't heard, there's an iconic anime. We've talked about it a lot here on the podcast, but most likely, if you know anything about anime, you've heard about the show, Cowboy Bebop, a very popular show from late 90s, early 2000s, starring Spike. He's essentially a space bounty hunter with a lot of drama from his past cropping up in his life is essentially what the show is about. He's got a fun, wacky crew that kind of get into misadventures. They handle a lot of bounty hunting, yada, yada, yada. It's a classic show, 26 episodes, really awesome series, original anime series. It's not based on anything either, by essentially a legendary director, right? Yep. So there's always been talks of adapting Cowboy Bebop into a live action series. It's been going on for years and years and years. I remember at one point in time there was a film that was supposed to be being made where Keanu Reeves was going to star as Spike Spiegel. That was some news that was going around. Finally, about, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago, they finally got the green light to make a Netflix adaptation of the show into a full live-action TV series. So in 2019, they started filming, but the lead actor who was playing Spike actually got into a sad, he didn't die. He got into an accident and hurt his foot while filming. So they had to take some odd months off. But and then obviously COVID happened, and so they had more delays. But as of this recording, so I think it was just announced yesterday, the entire series has wrapped filming. So they have filmed the entire show. So I don't know if that means we're going to see the show in 2021. I would be hard pressed to say that it's actually going to come out this year. It might. Honestly, like now that they've wrapped filming, post-production on a television show might not take as long as a film, but a film is usually going to take about a year of post-production, maybe sometimes even longer for a large, big budget film. They might wrap up post-production in 6 to 8 months, just depending on what work looks like for them. But I would be surprised if it drops on Netflix this year, but we're certainly going to be getting it in the next year is my guess. So I think before March of 2021, we will probably all be watching live action Cowboy Bebop starring John Cho from Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. John Cho himself.
Yeah, that's the movie.
That's the film that you know him from, right?
The actor who played Harold and Kumar
Harold is now going to play Spike Spiegel. And we've also got Mustafa Shakir playing Jet, which is a really cool casting. He played Bushmaster in the Luke Cage television show, if you guys have ever seen that. And then Daniela Pineda playing Faye. I don't really know her very well. I can't even remember off the top of my head what her main credit is. And then as of right now, the claim is that Edward has been cut from the television show completely. There was no one caught on set as an actor for the show, for the series. There was no official announcement of a casting for the character. Some people think maybe the show won't adapt up to where they meet Edward, so they'll meet all the rest of the crew, but they won't meet Ed. Who knows what they're doing? Maybe Edward was cast, and for some reason they're keeping it a secret for some reason. No, or maybe they've edited the script so much that Edward's out of the show. Who knows? All I know is that the original creator was involved in this show, and I just can't imagine the original creator of the show going cut Edward. So I just feel like it's got to be something else.
Because we don't know if it's a straight anime adaptation or if it's they're taking those characters, that world, and making their own kind of original storyline. Yeah,
we don't know. We know for sure that almost all of the characters that have been revealed are direct characters from the anime. So they're not changing any of the characters' names. Julia's involved, Vicious is involved. Those actors got cast. Ain's involved. Pretty much everyone we know from the series is in some way, shape, or form connected, except for Edward. We don't know anything about that. And to my knowledge, I don't think they revealed any new original characters that they cast, if that makes any sense. Like, sometimes live action anime will be like, and now a casting of Jimmy Joe Bob as Jimmy John in the new Dragon Ball Evolution, and everyone's like, who the fuck is Jimmy Joe Bob?
I don't know who Jimmy Joe Bob is, Jerry, but
sorry, the example, I should have just gave the Death Note example. When they made the new Netflix Death Note, there was a character that they added, and they like announced it ahead of time that this character would be, and they were like, who the fuck, fans were like,
they actually made like an announcement for that.
Well, it was like when they were announcing the cast for that movie. I remember that people going like, who is this character?
Who?
Yeah. So and surprise, it was because they just wrote a new character in. And I think that's people's biggest worries with Bebop, is that I think in a dream world, we would get a frame for frame recreation of Bebop as a live action television show. It would be totally doable. It's totally doable, I think, but I don't know if that's like when people sit down to write a live action adaptation of something, I don't know if that's what they are going for all the time. I don't know what you guys think, but to me, I don't think that a lot, like when someone gets hired to write a live action, very rarely are they trying to just do a shot for shot reenactment. Yeah. They're usually trying to create something new. Yeah. And I think that unfortunately is not generally what fans want. I don't know. I don't think it is.
I would like for example, the live action like DBZ, like basically any kind of live action anime adaptation that people have done. I would expect them to just do like a direct adaptation of what has already been animated. Just make it live action, have people do it. But they do their own original spin, which isn't bad per se, but it's always been, like, the end result has always been bad, Right. So it's like,
I can't think of an example of it successfully working when they don't just adapt the source. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't think of someone who was like, I will say, okay, live action Speed Racer movie. Probably the one time that I think some people would say that a direct shot for shot recreation just wouldn't have been very good, but what the Wachowskis did with it ended up as a palatable movie. So like that's like one of the it's fun, cool, and had the same aesthetic as Speed Racer. So that's like maybe one of the few examples of like it kind of working.
Was Alita Battle Angel good?
I loved Alita a lot, honestly. Yeah. I loved it. And it is not a shot-for-shot recreation either. It's very close, though. Alita was really not... The creator really did not stray too far from the original concepts.
Right.
So, and I think that's part of what made Alita so good. Same thing with, like... I mean, this is kind of a shit example because Ghost in the Shell gets, like, harped on a lot. Mm-hmm. But some of the parts of Ghost in the Shell were really cool because they were, like, shot-for-shot recreations of the movie. There's literally like the scene where Major is like on the water and Scarlett Johansson is doing it, and there's like that whole little bit, and they recreated it in real life. Honestly, I think it's an awesome fucking scene in the movie, the live action one. Mm-hmm. Does the movie really work very well? Not really. They added just enough to make it annoying, and then the whole like she's white, but then her real self was Asian was like shoehorned in because of all the criticism they got. Yeah, I'm sorry if you haven't seen the live action Ghost in the Shell movie, but surprise, at the end of the movie, in order to just like try to save some street cred, Scarlett Johansson's character's like, I know that my brain's in this body, but my original body was an Asian woman, and then it like flashes to like this Asian woman.
What?
Yeah.
Wait.
Did you ever watch it, guys?
I haven't seen it.
I just never watched it.
They did not do that, Jerry. You're making that up.
No, this is real. Pretty much the whole movie is pretty close to the original script of the animated film. Okay, There's some additional stuff, like the Geisha fight scene is like mostly its own thing. But for the most part, the film is a pretty good adaptation of. I mean, Scarlett Johansson, as much as I think it should have been an Asian woman. But she low-key does look like the drawing of Major. I mean, I just have to be honest. Like, yeah, like when she's got the makeup and the suit on, like she head ass looks like Scarlett Johansson looks like Major. Mm-hmm. Okay, like I mean, I hate to say it, but like they do look similar. But the shitty part is, in the last 15 minutes, this whole little subplot kind of starts getting developed about how like Major wants to find out who she really is. which doesn't make any sense because in the original story, like Major knew who she was. You know what I mean? Like, right. You know, but she was like, "Who am I for real?" And she like goes and like finds her Asian mom, and she's like, "You are my Motoko Kusanagi." You know, and like, you know, there's like these whole little bits, and like then like she has to like go like recover her memories, I want to say, or something from like a facility, and then there's like this big ass like robot monster that like I don't think that thing was in the anime at all, and she like fights it, and like in the fight scene she's like flashing back to like when she was Asian, and like there's a legit Asian woman playing her. This is real. This really happens in this film. And yeah, it felt like after they got criticism for Scarlett's casting, someone was like, well fuck, we're still making the movie, so I don't know, let's just like throw this in there maybe.
Disregard the entire story we've built up to this point. We have to get this little thing in there just so people know that we're not racist.
They're like, listen. I know we cast Scarlett Johansson, but she was Asian all along.
Makes it okay. She
was Asian all along.
And she's Asian all along.
No,
Scarlett Johansson has a character named Motoko Kusanagi.
Yeah.
Which is definitely a white person's name. I don't know what.
No.
Absolutely.
Motoko. But yeah, it's a weird movie. But yeah, so we don't have a lot of great examples of truly successful just adaptations of anime, right? I think Speed Racer and Alita are kind of the outliers because both of them were mostly well received. With, you know, still pretty heavy. It's just hard to do. So Bebop being a live action TV show, it gives itself the room to not be stuck in a film, right?
Yeah.
It can be long enough to adapt the whole show. You know, there's no reason not to. They can adapt all of Cowboy Bebop into live action. You know, it's only 26 episodes. Like, there's 26 20-minute episodes. There's really not a lot of content, you know, like,
which is so weird if they did cut it, right?
Right. It's such a concise storyline. It's a story that and I get it. There are some episodes of Bebop. If you've ever watched it, we've talked about this before. There are some episodes that I think some fans of the show don't think are necessary, but what they are is their developments, or their they take characters, place them in situations, and then you get to watch them interact in those situations. It's character development outside of the prime storyline. And I get it that like in most shows that's filler, but like for Bebop, that is a part of the flow of the story. And it's because the show was developed from the ground up to exist like that, right? So each of those little moments where we see you know, Jet goes and fights the one guy, like I can't remember, like in a library or something, you know, or like, you know, he goes to the bar by himself. Faye goes and visits her. Like those scenes.
Faye goes to the mining colony or whatever.
Yeah, they don't move the plot forward, but they do move the characters forward. And that's so that when we see them in the end game of that show, they are different people than they were in the beginning of the show. Right. Yeah. And it's because the sub experiences. And for the most part, that doesn't, like Bleach, Naruto, we don't want to see all that shit because it's irrelevant unless the author put that in there, right?
Right.
It's like in the latest episode, Jujutsu Kaisen, spoiler alert, or the one before last, not the latest one, they played baseball. And contextually, had I not known that was in the manga, I would have maybe gone into that like, oh, is this going to be filler? But no, the author utilized this scene, this slice of life moment to develop the characters. And that was worthwhile because now, again, they're different people than they were before they played baseball. And I like that. But Bebop could be cut down, probably. But I'm curious how accurate, how thorough. I mean, I wonder what sorts of new stuff that they might add. I really think they're going to add. I don't know what you guys think. I think they're going to add new stuff.
I mean, if they do a good job and it's successful, I don't see why they would stop at just like the direct anime adaptation. Like I could see them like extending the story and putting their own stuff in there.
Whoa. Honestly, David, I didn't even think about that. Yeah. It's kind of like,
if it's good,
like The Walking Dead.
People are going to want to keep watching it.
I think about how like The Walking Dead got its first season, you know, and it was like a direct adaptation of the comic book.
Now it's like 10. It's like 10 seasons.
Yeah, it overtook the comic book and essentially became its own beast. And I don't know if that were to happen for an anime, where like it like just ran out of content and just sort of turned into its own live action beast of a show. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, and people still for whatever reason keep watching it. Then yeah.
Like I'd be
very. That's also very possible.
It could be very bad.
Very bad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to anyone. I think the Bebop anime or live action could probably be pretty. It's good. I think there's like a 50-50 shot that it's like absolutely terrible. Like like borderline. It might be like really bad, guys.
I've been burned before. Okay, we've all seen Dragon Ball Evolution. Okay.
Yeah.
But on that note, if this one fails, I'm worried about the other one they have planned. I'm not gonna lie.
What's the other one?
What's the other one they have planned, Jerry? Is it
Live
Naruto?
action One Piece.
Oh yeah. Is it like the same? It's Netflix, right? That's doing it too.
It's also Netflix. Yep. And to my understanding, I don't know a ton about the live action One Piece. They've kept a lot of it under wraps, honestly. The only thing is that I did see. I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast. They cast. I believe there was an official or like a leak of the official casting of Nami. Nami has been cast, I think. Yeah, I think they cast Nami. But I don't know if it was ever announced by Netflix, but I think that the information got out.
One Piece fans.
One Piece fans. Tell me.
Oh, no. I just had audio played on my screen.
I think the most
Emily
interesting
Rudd?
thing, though. Yeah, I think that's her. Yeah. She's been, to my understanding, she is mostly officially cast at this point.
I mean, she kind of looks like Nami.
No, yeah, I thought so too. I was like, honestly,
I can see
not
it.
a half bad casting choice.
That's a good casting choice.
I was like, the real issue is whether or not she's a good actress.
Yeah, that's important. That's important.
She seems mostly new, from what I could tell. That she doesn't have a ton of.
This would be her biggest thing for sure.
Yeah, this will be So the only thing I know about the show is that they've cast her. The scripts for the first season are mostly finished and have only been going through rewrites. And one of the main contributors of the series is a very passionate One Piece fan. He has a lot of control over the story. He's a very passionate, lifelong One Piece fan. Okay. And he even went on a live stream hosted by a bunch of One Piece YouTubers a couple months ago. He came on, he talked about the show, he talked about as much as he was allowed to, Netflix would let him. He talked about a lot of it. He seemed very passionate and very knowledgeable about the world of One Piece. So
that's good.
That was kind of like hopeful, right? Yeah. So honestly, the girl looks like a pretty good casting choice. The guy that's running the creative direction seems passionate about One Piece. Oda has openly, like, he posted a thing on Twitter saying that he's been meeting regularly with the team. So Oda is pretty directly involved in
I would hope he would be.
Yeah. And that doesn't always happen. You got to remember that a lot of times Toriyama is so disappointed in what happened with Dragon Ball Evolution. Like,
oh my god,
he just wasn't involved. They just didn't involve him in the way that they should have, and that's super sad.
I've just been burned before, man.
I know. But I think if Bebop fails, I'll be more worried about One Piece. You know what I mean? If Bebop comes out and it's middle to good, honestly, I think I'll have a lot more hope that One Piece has a shot too. But
if it's just good.
Yeah,
if
Bebop comes out as good, I'm gonna be dabbing on people like this. I'm gonna be like, I'm like, so you seen that live action Cowboy Bebop though?
Do we have any news at all about? So we don't know like when the One Piece like live action would be aired or like. No.
All we know is that there's some early casting rumors, and that there's supposedly a script that's mostly finished for season 1, and that there's some early pre-production steps that have been taken. But that information is probably about 2 or 3 months old at this point. So I don't know how much further along we are now. They aren't making a lot of public announcements about it. Other than Oda made a statement, I think 2 or 3 months ago about it, saying that it's moving along fine. So who knows? But to my knowledge, that we don't know. Obviously there's a lot of rumors that Cole Sprouse is going to be cast as Sanji. That's like a really like resounding rumor, because here's the deal. The rumor is getting like brought up because of what the Emily girl did. Emily, what was her name? Emily Rudd.
Exactly.
Pretty much Emily Rudd, like before officially announcing it or whatever, there was like she had like changed her profile picture to like a picture of Nami on Instagram and like stuff like that. And if you didn't know, Cole Sprouse has had his picture as Sanji on Instagram for like months. He like keeps changing his picture to Sanji and like changing it off. And he doesn't know. I don't know if like it's him teasing people. Yeah, is he trolling, or maybe he's secretly behind the scenes? Maybe he's actually going through the audition process and he's really vying to try to get the role. He's openly talked about being a fan of One Piece. he's posted a really convincing like Sanji
like cosplay.
It's not a cosplay, but it was like a very Sanji style type of photo shoot that he did.
Honestly, I could see it.
I don't think it's a terrible casting choice at all. Actually, I think it's like a pretty damn good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he likes the show, especially like.
Yeah, Cole seems like he could nail Sanji. He's got the long blonde hair. He's got kind of like snarky. If you've seen him as Jughead, I guess he's kind of got the snark down. I think he'd probably have to like, what's the word? His physique would have to change a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's kind of got the look, honestly. I'm not opposed to it at the end of the day. But those are the only two rumors that have, Cole may or may not have anything. He honestly might be completely uninvolved and just is trying to rally for it, or Donald Glover wanted to be Spider-Man, but that shit didn't work out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited for a world where anime adaptations into movies will be treated with the same like level of love and money as like Marvel. Like, could you imagine
awesome.
like
That'd be
DBZ
so awesome,
with that type of like control and just
Bro,
like
that'd be
passion
crazy.
put into it? That would be crazy.
I'm here for it.
That'd be crazy.
I'm here for it. How about the weekly Shonen Jump movie universe, dude? With crossovers and everything.
That'd be insane.
Wait,
It starts
that's not how.
first it's Dragon Ball, then it's One Piece, then Bleach and Naruto, and then Dragon Ball, One Piece, Bleach, Naruto the movie. No.
I'm surprised they haven't done any live adaptations of Naruto. Now that I think about it,
That's true.
because
I wonder
Bleach
why.
has one, One Piece is going to get one, DBZ
Yep.
has one,
Yep. Yeah.
none for Naruto.
You've got Death Note with live action, Full Metal has a live action, Attack on Titan has a live action, JoJo's has a live action.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of adaptations of popular shonens. I'm surprised Naruto's never gotten one either.
Wait, Attack on Titan has a live action?
Yeah, a Japanese one.
Yeah, there's a ton of Japanese live
Yeah,
action.
Japan loves to make live action anime movies. Gintama has a really funny live action movie, actually. People consider it one of the better like Japanese live actions. Gintama.
So we missed one more show. Let me see here. That is going to be.
Pull it up, Kenny. What is it?
Yeah, what is it, Kenny?
It's called Vampire Night.
No.
Kenny, I saw the volumes today and I almost bought them all.
He needs the Vampire Night collection, baby.
Oh, yeah, I need it.
All we talk about is Vampire Night. And Cole Sprouse to play Vampire Night in the Vampire Night live action. We're here to talk about. We are three guys that love Vampire Night. And
Three Vampire Night fans, dude. Three dudes
Yeah.
who love Vampire Night so much.
If you don't love Vampire Night, that's something you need to fix right now. Go watch it all.
Go watch
all
Vampire
streaming
Night,
on Hulu.
Someone call us Nighters.
Nighters. We're little Nighters.
Yeah, we're
Hey,
Nighters.
Kenny, I don't like the way you say that, man.
Okay, let's change it.
All right, so are you boys ready to talk about? Is it time to talk about High Rise Invasion?
I think it is,
Probably the
boys.
best show
I
I've
think it
seen all year.
Yeah, pretty much. I've waited all year to watch this show. I mean, this is the show. Like, blew my mind. Just so good.
I've been watching a lot of anime, but okay.
All right, Kenny, kick us in, man.
Okay.
High Rise Invasion. What is the basic premise of High Rise Invasion? What's our
High
setup
Rise
for the show?
Invasion opens where our main character, Yuri Hanjo, is transported to this world where, one, they're on top of all of these skyscrapers connected by... They are kind of brought to another world.
Basically.
But also, like, it's just like a ton of skyscrapers, so, like, it could just be, a city. It's not very clear. And she's brought to a world where all these skyscrapers are connected by bridges, and there are these masked people going around, not trying to kill you per se, but to get you to show despair and kill yourself by jumping off the buildings.
Yep.
And slowly, first she finds out that, one, her brother's there. Her phone works only to call somebody else that's also there. And she calls her brother, and he's like, okay, let's meet up. And then she sort of, that's the basic premise of the show. She's trying to avoid dying from these sort of superhuman masked individuals. And you actually quickly find out that masked individuals just found masks and put them on, and they sort of rewire your brain to make you the wolves. If this is this sort of like werewolves and sheep type game, the wolves are hunting the sheep, and that's sort of it.
Yeah.
And it's in the manga, it's much more survival horror-esque. Yuri is sort of this survival horror hero.
Don't get ahead of yourself, Kitty. This is not at all that. This is not a survival horror show.
I think that's the theming in the outset, I guess.
This whole show has 3 major themes: panty shots, exploding heads, and girls who like girls. God damn it! That's all this show's about.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen so many, like I've seen panty shots in anime, but it's usually like, like the focus of the scene of whatever's happening. It's like, oh, panty shot. This show had so many just subtle panty shots. Like Yuri's just walking, and all of a sudden her skirt just like goes up for like a few like cuts, like a few frames of just panty. Like why?
My favorite full-on panty shot of the show came in the last episode when Yuri jumps in to save Nisei. Nisei, is that her name?
Nisei.
Nisei. She jumps in to save her, double whacks the dude in the head like this.
Yeah.
And as she's falling down, her skirt goes completely inverse, and she just full moons Nisei like right in the face, dude. Like
that's a throwback to earlier whenever Yuri saved Nisei whenever she didn't know, and obviously Nisei recognized Yuri by her panties.
By her panties. Yeah. Stripes, Yuri.
Yep.
I remember wearing stripes.
Nisei wears stripes, okay?
Yes.
Nisei is a stripe panty, yep.
I just got okay, let's break it down, boys. Let's at least try to break this series down into components here. So we'll start with some simple stuff. Music. How did we feel about the music in the show?
I really liked the music in the show, actually. The ending song was dope. I liked some of the interstitial music. The Sniper's theme was cool.
I was impressed that the characters had like consistent musical themes. Like there were things that they would do with them. So I thought the music direction was better than I expected. Although I will admit, by the 12th episode, some of the themes were so overused that I think I started to like get a little thrown out of it when I was like, I'd hear one come on and I'd be like, are they really playing that song again right now? Like, so I don't know if the soundtrack was just limited, but I actually felt like the music itself was pretty well done overall. And the use of music, I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie. I slept on all the music. While watching this show, I literally fell asleep 3 times. And just like music aside, I like the opening. The first time I heard it, I was like, all right, this is like giving me like it made me think of Akudama Drive. I was like, okay, it's like a nice little rock opening. It's pretty good. And then after a few episodes, I was like, okay, I'm skipping this every time. The ending song slapped, and I listened to it every single time.
Skippable intro, definitely a better ending song when it came to
Netflix hose you. The next episode plays like
so fast.
It's so fast. I was like, yeah, wait, stop.
I always was like, oh shit, I want to listen to it. Like I'm here clicking the button, like trying to get my controller back on. Like you bitch. Like
I don't get it. I don't know why Netflix does that.
Yeah, and then by the time I got the controller on, it's just time to skip the opening again. So
yeah. But music-wise, the show didn't do anything spectacular, but it definitely didn't completely fail in that aspect. Yeah. So I think the next thing we should majorly talk about, that I think is it. Let's just talk about animation in general. The animation. Let's talk about these easy components so that we can finally get into like the story.
Yeah.
Let's talk about animation. What do we think about this show's animation?
I think the show was so feast or famine, right? Some of the kinetic stuff in some of the battles, very cool. Like whenever Archangel flicks the bullet, like, wow, that was fucking awesome!
Right through Doctor's neck, dude. I actually dug that.
Yeah.
And then we get a scene where Yuri's like wriggling around because she's excited about seeing her brother, and you're like, everybody looks like fucking.
Oh, dude, that was hot, dude. No, what are you talking about?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was hot. Yeah, it was just because it was hot. Dude.
I'm not gonna lie. I felt like there were some good so there were like a lot of like little mini fights throughout this 12 episode series, and some of them were animated well. I felt like a majority of them it was like so choppy and so like
the way
like there's like fast action happening, but the way that's animated, it looks like everything's in slow motion. And so I was like, I'm not digging this. This doesn't look like it's doing a good job.
I think where it would surprise me, I don't know exactly how to explain this because I'm obviously not an animator, but and you guys tell me what you think about this, but generally there are two components of like anime, right? You have the art of the show, and then you have the actual animation of it, right? And like if you look at a show like Seven Deadly Sins, the latest season that we've talked about before, the bigger issue was more of the art. So characters were what they call off model. They didn't look like themselves in a lot of shots. That was like a consistent issue with that season. The animation itself wasn't particularly it was bad in a lot of shots, but it wasn't particularly horrible because there was still a lot of great in-betweens, is what they call it, where it's the shots between two keyframes. And if you do any like study of animation, the way that it works, you essentially do the starting frame and the ending frame because those are on screen the most, and then you create in-between frames between them. And the more in-between frames you have, the smoother the animation is going to look, so on and so forth. But obviously, if you are a lower budget studio, you can only pay X amount to get a guy to make X number of in-betweens, because usually you pay, what I've learned recently is that you actually pay by the frame. So like the animator gets paid for every frame they draw, not for how long it takes them to draw the frames. So that means if you are working for a lower budget studio and they're trying to pay it on a low budget, they're going to ask for less frames. So I think the issue with this show wasn't actually the artwork. I think that most of the time the characters looked on model and usually looked pretty well drawn. The issue was the lack of frames. It was like
I agree.
The word, you used the word choppy, David, and I noticed it a lot where it was just like there wasn't enough fluidity in the movements. Things were kind of static.
Exactly. Yeah.
And because of that, you got a lot of weird like effects moments too. Like when someone got their head chopped off, like so the blood splatter effect was just like ridiculous because they just didn't want to make in between. They didn't want to make in between frames. They wanted to make like one shot of headless man and then just like fucking hit it with just like And so you got a lot of those shots. But I actually thought the artwork looked like pretty good.
The art seemed fine.
I didn't feel like characters were showing up off model. I felt like for the most part we were getting pretty on model shots. We just weren't getting a lot of those like nice, fluid, well drawn, multiple frame animations. So we were getting just lower frames per shot. It reminded me of like an early 2000 anime. Like, David, did you ever watch the Gantz anime? Kenny, I don't remember if you watched it either, but that for some reason it kept reminding me of the 2000 Gantz anime because like that show is like kind of the dawn of like digital animation. It's kind of when that started. And this kind of felt like that, like a show that was it's a little behind the times. Like, it just doesn't feel as it feels like something from the 2000s, like the earlier 2000s.
Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way. It definitely felt like an early 2000s anime.
Yeah,
it's kind of it made it difficult too because like the setting of this whole story is like it's called high rise invasion. So they're on high rises, they're on buildings the entire time, and so the background is literally just buildings, like. No greenery, no like nothing. It's just the sky and buildings. And so like there's not really like in terms of I think it made the animation that stand out that much more because the art itself, there's not really like a whole lot of art happening. It's just the characters and buildings. So that extra focus on the animation, just like, you would want the animation to be done well. And the fact that it wasn't, it's like was very upsetting. Right. But yeah. Kenny, any other thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think that's sort of the story of the show, right? That is, it feels like we just, like everything was sort of cut together and like, I don't know. Yeah, there's just like, it just feels like it's just almost there. Like it could have been much better. And it feels that way. Like if it had, maybe had more money, if it had been done by a different animation studio, if they had, I don't know, been more solid in their theming, I think, for the animation, it just was like, some of it was cool, some of it was like gross. Like that, like some of it I was like, oh, this is dope. And some of it I was like, what am I watching? It obviously, nothing's as bad as X-Arm. Okay.
Nothing as bad as X-Arm.
This is not even in the realm of X-Arm. I mean, this
is like a solid anime.
Yeah.
But it has flashes of maybe something that it could have been.
Damn. That's true. There were definitely a couple of shots that I actually thought did pretty well. I remember a couple of shots where I'd feel like, oh, this actually feels more modern. This feels a little more adjusted. And then I'd kind of go back to what it was doing before.
Yuri's battle in the rain.
I thought the whole fight at the end of the last season was actually pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
But with the
whenever he was like
with Archangel or whatever his name was that his name?
Yeah.
Great Angel. I think they were calling him
Grand Angel? I can't remember.
But they call him Archangel, or it's translated Archangel in the manga. So
I think it was Archangel in the anime too. I just don't know if it was like said out loud.
right.
I think
They
I
said it a
caught
few times, but that was about it.
Okay, yeah. But okay, so
real quick, the animation was done by Zero G Studio.
What are they known for, David?
They are known for Grand Blue.
I thought they did fine.
My Roommate is a Cat. Science Fell in Love, so I tried to prove it.
Oh, I've heard of that.
More recent ones. They're animating something that's going to be released in spring called House Spirit Tatami-chan.
Interesting. Probably not.
It's original, so
we'll see. Yeah. Interesting. So they don't really have it's not they have a bad track record. They just don't have like a very prolific track record.
Much of a track record.
Not much to go off.
I mean, their total list of work is 15. Like 15.
Yeah, not much. Very interesting. So then, I mean, maybe this is definitely one of those projects where they just, they didn't really have probably the support and direction that you maybe would need to pull off something like this. But before we jump into the technical aspects, like the story and the pacing, which will kind of be what we cap on, I think, because we're going to have a lot to say, I think, about the story. But Jesus Christ. The only other aspect I do want to mention is something that Kenny brought up. And Kenny, I want you to elaborate a little bit because we talked about it briefly. But it felt like the direction was a little bit wonky in this show. And I'm not sure who the actual director of the show was, the head director. But it seems like because of the direction, some of the tone was a bit... it was a little jostly, right? Like, kind of felt like you were being tossed around a little bit, which doesn't always fail. You can have a show that has lighthearted comedy moments and serious action moments and have them be placed next to each other and it work. But a lot of times this show was shifting between some of those tones so quickly that there wasn't really any time to adjust your expectations. And then on top of that, you were having just lots of even the moments when you were supposed to feel tense or supposed to feel the survival horror aspect of the show. I think one of my favorite moments that I felt that they accomplished that tone was actually the first scene that we see. I think it was when we first see Rika and he is getting chased by the baseball mask. That was one of the ones where I felt like the tone made I felt like that was the way that was presented in the manga. That's, you know what I mean? Like, it felt like there was a level of desperation that the characters were trying to move through it. Maybe the way that it was animated, they used some darker coloring. They were in a darker, smaller space. They used directing to just, to make that point known. But then when I think about, Nisei versus the butcher mask, right? Which to me should have been a very tense moment, right? Nisei's been cornered. She's been chunked over the side of a building. She kicks in through a window. Butcher Mask chases her in, proclaims that he is in control of himself. It just felt goofy, I guess, to me, like that moment. And I didn't feel like that tense about Nisei being in trouble. And then my girl, Yuri hangs upside down and all of her clothes fly down. She uses her clothes as a rope to hang up. Her
sock, bro. Her sock.
Mostly naked at that point, and she's fucking shoots the chef mask or whatever. There was just that whole scene just didn't feel consistent tonally, and so sometimes the show accomplished it, sometimes it didn't, and that was one of the major issues. Other than the fact that the story, which we'll get into, the major issue felt like it was a directorial choice. There was just some direction. I'm not usually that big of a harper on direction. I think that a director of an anime can really we don't really talk about it that much because mostly an anime comes up with a visual style or feel, and the director carries that through the whole show. If you look at a show like The Great Pretender, no one would question that has an idea of what its tone was, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is just one of the first shows that we've talked about that wasn't just like exasperatingly bad like Tower of God. This is one of the first shows we talked about here on the podcast that I felt director really played a part in the enjoyment of the show. But Kenny, I know you talked about it too a little bit.
It feels like instead of, because, okay, first of all, this show adapted 150 chapters.
Yeah.
Well,
we're not talking about pacing yet, but there's a pacing point there.
And instead of what you would think would get lost is some of the boring, sort of the goofy, ecchi shit. And yet somehow it feels like every single goofy, ecchi moment made it into the show, right? In all 150 chapters, every single goofy, ecchi moment made it in.
That was
right.
But Kenny, they're important to the story, though. Like, I need those moments to understand the plot.
Kenny, if I didn't see Yuri fucking taking a bath completely naked, holding her tits, dude, how could I ever know?
If I didn't see Yuri trying to hug Nisei and like trying to wedge her leg right in between her crotch, then how?
Give her a little crotch rub.
Starts getting a little crotch rub. Come on, Kenny.
Come on, Kenny.
I think that the Rika moments sort of had the same tone is because he doesn't have the bullshit ecchi portions, right? He doesn't have that stuff, and so like it sort of maintained its tone. I don't know.
Rika had much better consist. I mean, think about like that weird girl with her like t-shirt tied up that's on Rika's team right now, and like the prison guard mask that kind of like that ends up being the little kid's mom. Those were in Rika's storyline, and they were pretty ecchi, is the word I would use.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I still think that overall the tone, instead of I just was scrolling through the manga to see how much clothes she takes off. First of all, I think her boobs are smaller.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
No way. The main
character's boobs are small in the manga.
She's supposed to have massive tits. I saw the anime, damn it.
They're not like, I don't know. They're not anime ridiculous huge, and I think that's how they are.
In the anime, they were anime ridiculous huge. Just, I mean, if you haven't watched,
she was like thick. Well, not like thick, but she had like thighs. She had an ass.
They were big booty and massive titties for this anime.
Kenny's like downloading like what?
Okay,
what?
Let's get into this idea of pacing. Let's get into that.
All right,
pacing. We have to talk about it. Kenny, you mentioned it. 150 chapters in 12 episodes.
150 chapters in 12 episodes. So obviously, a ton of stuff gets left out, right? Like an immense a lot of stuff happens with Rika and the other.
Say that number again, Kenny. How many chapters per episode does that make it? Didn't we do the math earlier?
Like 12 chapters an episode, I think.
Yeah, it's like a 12 chapter an episode pace.
So you got to think that's if it's like 18 pages per chapter.
Yeah.
That is an immense amount of pages. And for it to be not such fluid animation, like I can understand if there was like in One Punch Man, he does some chapters where it's like, okay, that chapter was 30 seconds, right? That chapter was 30 seconds of an anime. And I don't think that's not the case. Not everybody draws like Yusuke Murata does.
Uh-huh.
And this is totally bog standard manga. I feel like it's a good manga, but it's just standard. It's like it's not like this crazy phonetically drawn manga, and so it just like I don't know. It just to adapt 150 chapters in 12 episodes, and then it feels like they leave out a ton of like main story elements.
Right. And I think that explains. There was one part of the show that I kept wondering what was going on. And that, like, you would clip away to different groups of these survivors, and new characters would just be with the groups. Like, whole new characters would show up. The groups would just have entirely different rosters every time you'd see them.
Yeah.
They'd all be in, like, whole new locations, whole new motivations. The only group that we really focused on was Yuri's group the most. And I'm sure that was probably the intent, is like, if we're going to adapt 150 chapters, we need to pick one story and stick to it. And they were probably like, okay, let's mostly get Yuri and Nisei's story out in this, while using the other ones as less linear. But you can't leave them out, because obviously we learned by the end of the show that Rika and Yuri's storylines have to collide. And if you're not showing Rika's, you lose like pretty much the entire what's the word? The antagonist of the series is pretty much completely seated in Rika's storyline.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if you can't adapt Yuri, so it seems like halfway through the show they realize that, and then that's when you start getting Rika cutaways, and you're like, oh shit! It like starts to give you a little bit, so you finally get Aizawa or whatever. That was on like episode 8, I think, when he got revealed. 8 or 9. You find it was named Aikawa, something like that.
Aizawa, I think.
Yeah. I thought it was Aikawa, maybe. I don't know. It's something like
that. I think people were calling him Let's call him
Ai-chan, they were Master Ai
guy. Okay, I don't like him.
Yeah, so. He is he by the end of the series, you realize he's the primary antagonist of the show, because the show starts. I mean, early on there were like small antagonists introduced. You know, like first the Doctor is like presented as an antagonist, and then like
Sniper Mask is like your
Sniper Mask is an antagonist. Yeah, like these are small antagonists, but then it just immediately will like swipe those out of the way. We'll get another antagonist. We'll grow into the next one. And then we land on this. But, man, Jerry, so the pacing was the pacing was breakneck speeds.
Right.
Yeah.
But I will admit, the one thing I got to give it props for, if you had not told me each episode was adapting 12 chapters, I would have never fucking guessed. So the story still felt... You know how like when Tower of God adapted a bunch of shit really fast and the story became incoherent?
Mm-hmm.
This story was simple enough that even with shit cut out, you pretty much still got what's going on. Yeah. I never once was like, well, this is too fucking confusing, or like, this is dumb. I was always like, okay, great. Masks, evil. DNA code, got it. Yuri wants to be god of the realm so that she can get out peacefully. Aikawa, exact opposite, wants to purge humanity, thinks this is some chosen test. Okay, got it.
It's still like so absurd though. Like
it was
like in terms of like pacing like from episode to episode, it was like fine, like easy to follow. But when while you're watching, you're like, okay, she's transported to this world. These people with masks are trying to kill people that aren't wearing masks. Oh, you can control the masks like they're Pokemon. Okay, cool. Oh, you become a god in this realm. Okay. All right, let's try to be God then. It just, and that was like all over the span of like the first 5 episodes of like, oh, you can control masks. So, there's God candidates.
The moment I realized that this story was going off the rails was pretty much in episode 2. When I realized like, oh no, this is not what I thought it was, essentially. You know, in episode 1, I thought it was going to be pure survival. I immediately thought that this was going to be like High School of the Dead, but masks. You know, I thought that each situation was going to be presented as like, okay, so this group of humans is trying to outlive this group of masks. Mm-hmm. They're going to get into small situations based off the strength, speeds, or skills of each mask, and they're going to have to find unique ways to beat their way out of it and accomplish some end goal, which is either going to be escaping this world of high rises, or it's going to be eliminating the world. That was my assumption going in. By episode 2, I said, I realized that I was wrong. That's not what the show's about at all. I was like, oh, this is a whole different show. This is actually a show about sci-fi tech, gods, superpowers, second dimensions, alternate worlds, all sorts of crazy shit. So mind control, I think, is in play. Yep. There's a theme of like, you know, you can't control yourself. That is kind of like a ever-present theme of like just control is kind of a theme of the whole show. Mm-hmm. That I did not expect at all. Like, I was not ready for that. I thought, I was not ready for it at all. But yeah, I'd say around episode 2, you start to realize, oh.
Did anyone else get the feeling that Yuri was like quick to kill people? It was like middle to end of episode 1, she's like, these masks are hunting me, and like she's like scared and she doesn't know what to do, and then she's instantly like, I'm gonna kill these people. And she's like shooting people without even a second thought. She knows how to work guns. She's a high school student. I don't know. There was like a lot of things I was like,
I think
it's kind of
backstory. I think Yuri was actually like that's one of the things that she's good at, right? She had fired guns before. Like she was a semi-talented gun shooter, and that's hardly. She's like, oh, like Nisei has that throwaway line that's like, oh, Yuri's a good shot.
Yeah,
she says like, oh yeah, I'm a natural.
Yeah,
I think Yuri said that.
Actually, Yuri mulls over like that's just it. Yuri being able to pull the trigger is something that takes a long time, and you got to think like 3 episodes in, you're like 35 chapters into the manga. So
that's true.
Imagine you are 35 weeks into this story that you're reading, and Yuri can finally shoot someone, and she feels okay doing that. And I think that in the early part, she really just can't do it. And then in the manga, there are constantly shots of this is
Danny's.
back your point. No, back on your point, Jerry. How the story with Yuri has to meet up with Rika.
It has to.
And there's like a clear sort of understanding throughout the manga. You sort of start to be aware of the map of these skyscrapers and bridges because there are only a certain amount of bridges.
Bro, no way.
Yeah, and so that's why in the beginning, actually, there are 3 stories. There's Sniper Mask and Kuon, Yuri and Nisei, and then Rika and his little crew. Rika and Okihara, who Okihara hardly has 5 lines in the show.
Is that the guy with the 2 parts in the thing back? The God candidate?
Yeah. He's no. He's got the helmet.
Oh,
but
what the fuck?
Also, the other God candidate is absolutely a main character. And
the helmet guy is relevant?
Yeah, he's like Rika's sidekick. Each of the groups of 2, he's like Rika's sidekick.
We saw that man like maybe 3. I thought it was a girl when I first saw him, honestly.
Yeah, and then the dude with the eye wrapping, you see how he gets that eye wrapping. Like
didn't have that. Yep, I was wondering about that.
Rika has a whole crew, like a whole team, and he's like strong or whatever, and so he slowly builds up this team. And so in the beginning, you're first trying to connect Nisei and Yuri with Kuon and Sniper Mask, and you kind of see them going to different buildings, and each building is distinctive, and you sort of are like, oh, they're getting close to each other. It's kind of like more clear that. And the mapping of it, and that's why whenever Aikawa later on is like, oh, they're coming from the east or the west, you sort of have a vague idea where these sort of buildings and groups of people are at.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, I don't know, that helps in sort of having these stories collide where, they're progressing through different buildings to try and all come together. And yeah, right. But I mean, Kuon and Sniper Mask meet up almost immediately. They have a much longer story.
I mean, that happens in episode 2 or 3. I mean, it happens pretty fast.
Yeah. After they fight Sniper Mask. Yeah.
I have a question about. So let's start ripping the story apart a little bit here.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can decipher, boys, from what we watch. So
let's try.
First off, this story does something that I felt was a little painful, and it's essentially that each time that they solve a mystery, there was like another mystery in the answer of the new mystery. So it's like the moment a mystery was solved, there was like a new that answer was the next like mystery. It was like, oh, the masks make people into puppets that are controlled by. Oh, they're controlled by other people that are turned into this power by other masks that you find in the... You know what I mean? Like, each was like this weird elevator step up, okay?
Mm-hmm.
First off, how the fuck does Sniper Mask, like, turn it off?
It's cracked. It's a defect. You see that little tiny crack, Jerry? That means he kind of has control.
Guys, there were so many moments where other characters had their masks cracked, destroyed, messed with, all this stuff. That crack is fucking irrelevant. There was something else there. I don't know if that's something that maybe gets revealed later. I can't genuinely be convinced that is the reason why he started to regain consciousness. Because, and not just that, the speed at which his consciousness starts to regain was like breakneck. And I get now because they were adapting so many chapters so quickly, but it was like one episode I can think in my head. Next episode I can move my whole entire body. The next episode, totally he could just do what he wanted.
Yeah.
He was just totally free range. At this point, go on, come with me. We're gonna go chase down the 2 girls that tried to grenade my ass, and let's go make sure that you meet up with them. And then he was like worried that he would like kill them, so he like hid. And like the next episode, he like talks to them. It's like there was never even a connection of like, is he regaining more conscious? I think that the beginning half was supposed to imply to us he's slowly regaining control.
Right.
But then after the first couple episodes, it never shows us that control be regained, except for the fact that he just is slowly doing more and more.
12 chapters an episode, Jerry.
Oh, Sniper Mask can do this. Yeah.
It shows that scene where he passes right after he gets grenaded. It shows that scene where he passes by another mask and the mask attacks him, and he doesn't understand why. That was like he did that like 3 or 4. He had to like fight other masks for a while. Like he was like confused, and then he was like, why? You know, like why?
Like,
why
he was still hunting god candidates up until like he was with Kuon.
Yeah.
But like then he just stopped doing that. He just didn't explain. Like he just didn't have to hunt, or like he just stopped. It just stopped. He just was like totally shit, Kenny. But no, I'm not saying that Sniper Mask is probably my favorite character in some ways.
Yeah.
But like, and I like that he, I guess, is actually just a normal. You know, later we find out he's actually just a person who was summoned there, just like all of them. And one of the masks was placed onto him. Right? We learn later that that's the case.
By big boobied cop girl, right?
Yeah, big booby prison warden girl, whatever the fuck, prison warden mask. I don't know what her name is. Cop mask. I don't know what to call it. They all had such silly Pokemon names. I thought my least favorite one was, I think they just called her China Mask.
Yeah.
She was wearing like a Chinese like traditional dress. And I was like, yo, wait a second.
I wasn't agreeing with that one. I was like, wait.
I was like, that's just China Mask now?
It pretty quickly like establishes that some of them, after they get controlled, like can talk, and she was obviously sending messages to him, and they may not know their names, but like some of them did, right?
Yeah.
Kusakabe knew her name.
We learned Sniper Mask's name by the end of the show.
Takano
or something.
Yeah.
And I guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, the way that I interpreted the scene where Nisei and Kuon went inside, he's fully not controlled anymore, right? Like, in the last episode, like that scene was them breaking him completely out of the mask's control, I think. Because honestly, in the last episode, he was 100% conscious. Like, he was making his own moves. He was doing whatever the fuck he wanted.
Right.
Like, he seemed like he was essentially on the same level as Nisei. And that, like, Nisei is also a mask, but, she had to... And I guess she also had to delete the mask persona out of her body to, like...
I don't get how that made her stronger. That made no sense to me. That made no sense to me.
David,
I was like, I thought that was what made her strong in the first place.
Yeah, I was so confused. I was like, what? I was like deleting. I was like, is this thing still haunting her? Didn't we not talk about this? Like, we've been talking about this in like 6 episodes, right?
Yeah.
Like, the thing is
also, why did the ghost thing have red underwear?
I don't know. Kenny, I just was constantly like, and I think that's where the show really started to lose me, is that like the more and more it became like a sci-fi, you know, it turned into kind of like a shonen battle manga to some extent. Like, there were just like full blown like power fights where they like leveled up and like, I mean, fucking Yuri in the back half, there should be a god candidate, was like, she like full blown like,
yeah, she powered up. She Super Saiyan powered up.
Yeah, and I was like, what's going on? I was like,
here, let me send you guys a picture of this.
Oh Lord. But yeah, so I think that's where the story started to lose me, is that the further and further it strayed from the premise, I started to just go like, why are we going in this direction? Like, why are there god candidates now? And what is this? And I'll admit, there's enough questions that like, I'm kind of interested. Like, I kind of want to see the end, because there's 100 chapters left unadapted.
Which I guess could just be 4 episodes.
Yeah, they'll just get through it real quick. You know? But I mean, that's about enough. If they did 150 and 12, maybe they do another 12 episode season and they slow it down a little bit. But
Yeah.
Instead of 12 chapters an episode, it would only be, I don't know, 8 chapters an episode.
Here's what I was talking about, though. See how they constantly would do shots like this, where that's a 2-page spread.
Did you send it into
the King Weebs only?
Okay.
That's a 2-page spread, and it would clearly, and there were distinguishing buildings. Obviously, the big railgun laser building, but there were other buildings that were distinguishable, and so you could you could kind of understand where our characters are right now.
Right. So here's my question, Kenny. Compared to the manga, because obviously this was a popular manga. It lasted for 250 chapters. You don't get 250 chapters if you are not moderately successful.
That's honestly. Like 6 years.
So that's a long ass time to be making a manga. Yeah, and obviously it's popular enough to get adapted into an anime. This is a pretty long, but and here's the deal. The best way I can describe it is that the story was bad. I mean, I just don't know any other way to put it. The story that we got presented in the anime was just kind of bad. But it was so bad that I kind of liked it. Does it make it it was so...
It was like a good trash anime.
Yeah, it was so stupid that I constantly saw myself going I want to watch more of this. I want to see another guy get his head cut off. I want to know why these god candidates are selected to be in this realm. I want to know why Aikawa is such a fucking weirdo. I was constantly going this is stupid, but I kind of like it. I kind of am enjoying this.
It was okay. This is something funny. Rika in one of the episodes says he's talking to Swimmer Mask whenever he's getting carried in. He's like, "Are you older than me?" And Swimmer Mask was like, and Rika was like, "Well, I'll go ahead and use polite language." And Rika has that quirk. He constantly asks characters "How old are you?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm this old." And he's like, "Okay, I'll make sure I use polite language." And it's like Rika has a handful of goofy quirks that don't come out, and I feel like Yuri does as well. They have these sort of, I don't know, the characters are interesting in the manga. It feels like Sniper Mask is afraid of heights.
Yeah,
and that's
came out in the anime.
That came out,
but it's like a constant thing where he's like, "I don't like being on these buildings. This is terrifying to me."
Yeah, I feel and I think that's why I like Sniper the most is that Yuri and Rika kind of got boiled down to just their elements of their character that advanced the plot because they had to, right? But Sniper was the one character that got lots of on-screen development that were just who am I? What am I? Why am I here? What's my purpose? And because of that, we learned a lot more about him. I mean, we got his internal monologue with himself and just between that and the, Nisei and Kuon going inside of his past world that he lived in. Sniper Mask might be the most well-developed character in the show for no reason. Even the way that he interacts with Yuri and the feelings he has towards her, his feelings towards Kuon, the small gestures he does once he regains consciousness, mostly tons of little things. Sniper got a lot of on-screen time for a character that I wasn't sure was the main character. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I assume he's probably really important. After Rika said Sniper could take down all 30 of his masks alone, and the other guy was like, "I'm not sure if he's lying or telling the truth." Or it was the lady who said that.
Yep.
I can't be convinced. Nothing about the way he's saying that is a lie. That's when I was like, oh, maybe Sniper is going to be way more integral to the finale of this show than I think he is. That was and you don't spoil it, Kenny, but I have a suspicion.
The manga was only at, I think, 140. I didn't finish this battle in the manga.
Dang. You don't, dang. So you don't even know how it ends. So, well, then here's my guess. My guess is that Sniper is involved in the finale. He either sacrifices himself or does something. This is my guess. Totally a guess. Never read the manga, guys. I think he's going to either sacrifice himself or be a key to accomplishing the finale, whether that's an elimination of the realm. Obviously that's what they want, or what Yuri's goal is eliminate the realm, Kuon and Yuri, and get everyone home safely or whatever. But I think Sniper's going to be a key in accomplishing that. That's my guess because he just had too much focus. I mean, the character's just too cool. They did too much cool stuff with him. I think the author is building him to be something bigger than what he is. But yeah, beside the point.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, he's supposed to be like, I still don't even know. He's supposed to be somebody from Rika's past or somebody that. And I don't know how much old, because Rika's 18, Yuri is 16, and so I don't know how much older he's supposed to be. Like maybe like 19, 20-ish.
Yeah, they're supposed to be like similar age. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're childhood friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I don't know. Like I think that there is still a lot about Yuri and Rika's past that we don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the manga where we do have more like info and stuff. I think that even still up to that point we didn't know much about them. And I think up to that point, just about every other character we sort of heard their whole backstory, and it was still sort of like, why are Rika and Yuri so well adjusted to this sort of scenario?
Yeah, they're kind of murder. They're kind of murder.
They're murder people left and right. I gotta kill this person. Okay.
They're pretty cold, collected, and like fucking in it. When it like they showed up on this world and they said, "Guess I'm gonna fucking win this game."
They
like
pulled
that's
up.
the immediate. Like they both like woke up and they were like, "Oh shit! I guess we're gonna have to kill people for this."
Yeah.
Which maybe that's an interesting. There is an interesting take on morality in the like lower levels theming of the show that I bet in the manga is maybe a little bit more well explored because there's more time. But obviously there's the moral choices, right, that you have to make in desperation. Like, do we kill or do we not? How do we do it? What does that look like? Is this realm, there were a lot of those moral choices. They were pretty glossed over in the show, but the decision, like you said, the fact that it took Yuri so long to make the first shot in the manga versus her making the first shot very quickly in the anime, it definitely those sort of moral questions of like, can I commit murder in a circumstance like this? It seems like the author was trying to play with those a little bit, and I liked that. I think that the theming is just a little off because the story just got so like cyberkinetic by the end. I mean, it kind of became like more of like will computers control us? Like, I'm fearful that the main bad guy is a fucking computer. Like, that's where I'm at with this. Like, there's all these weird, the thing in the God Cannon, its brains, the female robot voice or whatever.
Yeah.
The fuck is that? Like that?
I don't know.
It's something installed into their brains.
Installed by who?
Whoever's controlling these masks.
So I'm worried that there's like some sort of robot overlord that is like trying to pick the human equivalent of like who's going to survive in this non-human world or something. I don't know. Like there's just so much cyberkinetic bullshit that I'm like, the theming just gets a little lost by the back end. That's the way that I felt. The theming of like moral questions of murder and how do we go about survival get lost by the point when we're brain diving into Sniper Mask in order to relive his childhood and free him of the robot controlled code that was in the back of the mask. I don't,
what the fuck was that?
By that point, the moral questions are by the point when Nisei is like deleting her internal mask mode so she can go red Super Saiyan mode and fight Archangel, who's a wimpy or a massive guy who's been controlled by a god candidate down to this wimpy little swimsuit guy, but then he beefs back up and can flick bullets with his bare hands. At that point, the theming just gets lost. You know what I mean? Like the theming was just getting a little lost, but
it got crazy. I wish there was more of like a backstory to Archangel. He was just like introduced as this like, I'm strong as fuck. I got this iron bat that can melt things because I swing it so fast. I was like, what is that? I was like, how does that work? There's just no real explanation. It's just like, he's the strongest mask.
But it did look like, it looked like Yuri is bringing him along.
Yeah.
In the end,
yeah.
It looks like he's now on Yuri's team.
She caught a new Pokemon. So
maybe we will learn more about him.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe there's more in season 2, or if they ever make a season. Didn't you guys say there's also a sequel manga that's still going or something?
Yeah. It's called what is it called, Kenny?
Tenkon Shimpan Arise.
Yep. Invasion.
Invasion.
Is it a sequel or is it like an alternate story or?
I don't know.
Okay, interesting. So
I would assume like some kind of sequel. Like, it says High Rise, so it has to be in the same universe at least.
Yeah.
I just read the sequence where Yuri was supposed to jump and whack the Great Angel over the head and show her entire set of panties, and that scene doesn't exist.
Oh, that didn't happen in the manga?
That was fully anime exclusive.
Did Yuri save Nisei though?
Yeah, like, Great Angel stands up, coughs, and is like, "I'm still alive," and Nisei's like, "Fuck," and then Yuri walks from around the corner and is like, "Nah, I got you, bro."
You're telling me she didn't deep dive full?
No, she didn't jump.
She didn't
jump out of nowhere
ass to mouth Nisei, dude.
No,
dude,
she didn't do that.
If you're not ass to mouthing, dude, no.
If you're not getting that ass to mouth, then I don't know.
That makes I don't want to read the manga now. I don't. If that honestly, scene isn't in there, I'm not even gonna waste my time.
Take it out.
The panty shots were peak anime. Damn it.
Even it feels like that. The scene where Yuri is like hanging over the edge. She has like a very I don't know, non-revealing set of underwear. Not in the anime. Obviously, her tits are like falling out. But in the manga, because I'm going back over some of the scenes that are like fucking ridiculous. Sometimes.
Right.
And it was like they intentionally made like a semi non-revealing outfit because like, you know, but he was like, but to get over the edge, she tied her shirt and things to sort of get into this window. And
yeah.
Yeah. I think that we've mostly broken this thing down, but any closing thoughts on High Rise Invasion before we move on to our scores, boys?
I mean, I think it's 12 episodes. It's short. It's something that just came out. Like, if you want to watch some good shit anime, this is probably up your alley. Cause like it's just ridiculous. Like the one word that defines this anime to me is just ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And so that's all I really have to say about it. It was just I probably would have been fine not watching this, but we watched this for the podcast, so I had to finish it, and I kind of hate myself for watching it. So,
Kenny, you have any closing thoughts?
I liked the manga. I remember reading the manga. I enjoyed it. It's like 150 chapters that I read in 12 episodes in the show. So I think what they took out was the overall theming of the show, which is that it was more of a survival horror, and the thought process going into how to solve survival horror, aspects is like really important. And I think that they just pulled all of that out. We're like, let's just put some boobies and underwear.
Legit, they tanked every survival horror situation. Like there was never any like plan that they had to come up with. They literally just tanked it every time. Like
there were two.
Fury and Nisei just like straight tanked it.
Yeah, there were two like fights that I would say are similar to the manga, and that's the very first one. Whenever she fights whenever she jumps off the edge and is like, okay. They always go over the edge to confirm if they died or not, and so like
yes, I like that.
Or whenever Rika fights baseball match, and he's like, he's still following the idea that he's playing baseball.
Love that one.
He won't just murder me; he'll play baseball with me.
Mm-hmm. Everything else, they just fucking.
Those are like the two most consistent
they literally
ones.
Just like
everything else.
They gunned every other mask down with just random bullets. They just ran up on. They just threw a grenade at Sniper Mask.
Do you remember when what was the name of the doctor? I can't remember his name, but they were fighting the doctor.
Arahara, I think.
Arahara, yeah. And I think the girl, the samurai girl, I think her name was like Nie or something like that.
It was Ain.
Ain. So when Yuri and Nisei are first fighting the doctor and Ain, and a random like bow and arrow mask comes out. And the doctor is like, I bet you didn't see that. And then Yuri's just like, boop, shoots her, and he just dies. Wasn't that? It was just so anticlimactic. It's like, she just shot him out of the sky.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
It was so quickly explained away too. It was like, how'd you know I had two masks? And she was like, well, Ein is one in German, and Zwei is two. So when you said you only had one, you were just saying you had Ein. It was like two sentences, and then the doctor was like, fuck.
You got me. You figured me out.
It was wild.
It was ridiculous.
But Wait, what? But yeah, that's the biggest issue, right? But okay, so I think the best way I can describe this, like my closing thought is legitimately like, this was the most watchable trash I've watched recently.
Yeah.
Like, I hate to say it, but like, Jesus Christ, it had issues with its animation. The direction was weird. There were some tonal situations. The pacing was breakneck. The story gets absurd. But Jesus, I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun watching it, honestly. Like, it was the most, like, digestible anime trash I've watched in a long time. You know, like, there are certain anime trash shows, like, So I'm a Spider, So What? Where it's like, I can't digest it. Like, even if it's supposed, David's leaving. You know, it's like you watch an episode and you're just like, ugh. Like, I just can't keep eating that, right? This show,
I genuinely like Spider. This
show at the end of every High Rise episode, I was just like, I could watch more heads get blown up and more tits. Like, sure. You know what?
Yeah.
There was a guarantee. Every episode, I double checked as I was watching. Every episode had a panty shot, a boobie shot, and a head exploding, or some sort of massive blood and gut scene. So if you like those three things, this show had it. Every 20-minute period of this show, you were getting a boobie shot, a panty shot, and something getting bloody, like broken, busted, you know? There was at least one head explosion or head cut off or whatever you love, you know?
Probably my favorite booby scene was when I just walked up and just like put his head in between.
Oh my God, I love that.
He's like, oh, I feel so much more calm now.
Yeah, I feel so at place right here. I was like, Jesus Christ,
like, oh
bro.
my God. And it was kind of funny because then like the other mask like put his face on like the other guy's chest. It was like a small amount of comedy, yeah. But
if they adapt the last 100 chapters and we get another season of this, 100% I'm gonna watch it. Like I just want to know the ending.
Same,
but I don't want to know it so bad that I'm not gonna go read the manga. Honestly, I just won't. Like
I'm reading the manga.
I think if I started at chapter 1, I might enjoy it if I read from chapter 1. I just don't know if I'm invested enough. Knowing that this series adapted for the most part what we're getting out of the manga, even if there's some tonal shifts, I think that I know that like the manga's probably fun to read in like a very like very just like, you know, it's like High School of the Dead. I love High School of the Dead. It's High School of the Dead. At least High School of the Dead has a lot of really great. What makes High School of the Dead perfect and good is that despite it being really filled with boobies and exploded heads, the plot of High School of the Dead never wavers. Mm-hmm. It's constantly normal humans placed into an unnormal situation trying to survive. Mm-hmm. And that's what made that show so much fun, because the characters were driving the plot. The plot was not driving the characters. This show, the plot is driving the characters. You know, the overarching, there are masks, robots, God realm, that's driving these characters. And I think that's what makes it harder for me to be like, okay, I'm going to have a blast reading this manga. I might have a fun time because it just was so absurd that I kind of liked it. But yeah. Okay, boys, let's rank this out of 10. Give us a countdown or something. I don't know. I don't know.
All right. You guys ready? All right. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, pretty close.
I knew you weren't like. I went with a 5. Yeah, I went with a 5.
All right.
This is middle of the road.
Middle of the road. The most watchable bad show we've watched, in my opinion. That's why it's got a 5 for me, because all the other bad shows. You don't want
to watch Log Horizon, right?
Oh no. Fuck! I hated watching that. No. I never finished an episode of Log Horizon and said I could eat another of that. You know, every episode of the show, I at least was like, I could watch another episode. Yeah. I could watch another one.
I kind of had to force myself through this, to be honest. So that's I was getting like Log Horizon, Tower of God vibes from this, of like based on like how I felt overall. Yeah. So,
and that makes sense. I mean, the pacing was just like Tower of God. You know, it was massively fast, and I mean, the show was subpar animation like Log Horizon. I mean. Yeah, you have every right to have liked it a lot less. Anyone who watches the show, if you fucking hate it, you have every right, because the show was not good. But
like, honestly, it might go back to what you were saying before, Jerry, about like the directorial decision making behind this, because like like, is it the director's final say in terms of like how much is getting adapted per episode? Because why decide to cram so much? You know?
Yeah, essentially, to my understanding of how that works, is that an animation director or an episode director essentially decides what cuts need to be made and what parts of the show need to be made, and then they send stills. They say, okay, you're adapting this portion or you're creating this part of the animation. They usually have a team of about 15 animators per episode. They say, hey, you're going to adapt this portion. You have this much amount of time to adapt it. So adapt it, in this amount of time. And here's the cuts we've made to the manga. So then the animator will sit down. They'll have the manga in front of them, and they'll have the amount of frames that they're allowed to use. So how much they're getting paid for, right? The amount of frames they're getting paid for. And then they will work from there, and they will go, okay. And it's the director making all those choices. And then generally, once they've actually finished the raw animation, the line work, they then send it back to the director, and the director makes adjustments. Then the animator retouches it. So the director is really the one making the choices when it comes to coloration, when it comes to the angles, the shots like that. They're the ones kind of telling the animator, hey, I want you to pull this angle back a little bit farther, go a little more zoomed out. Or I want this angle more at a 3rd degree angle. They're the one making those choices. Usually it's not the animator just having free range. It's not an animator sitting down and being like, great, I'm adapting this okay, I'm going to animate this however I want. No, generally there's an episode director, and generally that episode director is mostly consistent. They're doing the whole show, right? They're not just doing one episode. They're like the director for the show. There's a guy, I can't think of his name. There's one director who is, he works for Studio Pierrot, or he did, and he directed every episode of Yu Yu Hakusho, and then went on to direct every episode of Bleach. So Bleach and Yu Yu Hakusho were Noriyuki Abe, I think is his name. Someone can look me up and check me. If you're watching this and I'm wrong or that's not his name, then my bad. But I'm pretty sure it's Noriyuki Abe. He oversaw Yu Yu Hakusho and Bleach, and you can tell that show has like a consistent episode director. But the issue, like if you look at a show like One Piece, that's not the case. It has cycling directors. There are different directors for different episodes, different chunks. I think there was one director who was there for like the first 300 episodes of One Piece. Then he pieced out, and then they had to replace. They had different directors step in. Because of that, you'll see shifts. If you look at Wano as an arc in One Piece, it just looks and feels a lot different than other arcs, and that's because there's different directors taking control of that arc. It's adapting very differently. But this show most likely, I don't know about High Rise. I haven't looked it up.
I did. Their director didn't really do a whole lot beforehand.
Is there a credited director though? There's
there is. Yeah,
that's okay. And so that was my assumption, is that most likely all 12 episodes had one person that was in charge of doing most of the direction. Each episode may have had like a sub animation director who would be working directly with the animators, but I would say that guy is the reason why the tone doesn't match the manga. He had a different vision. He read the manga and had a different vision for what this was supposed to be than us who are reading the manga. That's why it's not feeling consistent.
I lied. Yeah. So apparently, the 12 episodes, they had like a different person direct every episode.
Okay, yeah. So that even makes it weirder to me, because that's also pretty commonplace. That you have a multiple directors involved. 1, 2, 3, and then that's going to really obviously that's going to cause some tone issues for sure, because when you have so many directors, they all have different visions per episode. It doesn't always cause issues. Look at a show like The Mandalorian, right? Which is a live action TV show in the US. The Mandalorian has different directors every episode, right?
Yeah, this had different directors every episode, except for one person directed 2 of the 12 episodes, but the other 10 were directed by different people.
And essentially, if you do have a different director every episode, you have to have a really strong... Someone has to be up top, above those directors, helping them to keep the tone consistent and the style consistent. And it just felt like with High Rise, I don't know if there was a mastermind, if there was really someone that was like, okay, keep all this consistent or make this work. Like without that guy or without that person, a show's going to feel like a tonally... It's going to feel like a mess. Like Jon Favreau does that for The Mandalorian, where every episode is directed by someone different, but John oversees the production for the most part overall, and he occasionally will direct episodes. I think he has done like 1 or 2 each season, maybe 3. But for the most part, he lets other people direct, and then he just helps to keep the tone consistent. So when you watch the 8 episodes of Mandalorian season 1, it all feels like one package, even though each one has a different person behind the lens. So it's quite a complex process. For a show this short, I really am not sure what the decision-making process looked like. Yeah. For all I know, Netflix threw some money at a studio and they just fucking plopped it together. I honestly wouldn't surprise me if that is like pretty standard of what happened, because animators are so underpaid and overworked that, I mean, these episodes were, I mean, if I had to guess, this show was just made in essentially like a factory process. Like, I'm not sure anyone involved in the project was particularly passionate about High-Rise Invasion getting an adaptation. You know what I mean? Like, this was just a job. This was a job for them. And that's just the reality of it, is like a lot of anime just get put through the process and they just get made like that. And then you've got shows like Mushoku Tensei. I don't know if you guys know, but that studio exists all because they wanted to adapt Mushoku Tensei.
Yeah.
They started their animation studio because they wanted to make an anime adaptation of Mushoku Tensei.
Wow.
And you can fucking tell, because every episode feels like a masterpiece, right? Like, there's effort, there's true care for the story that's taken, right? The adaptation feels like an adaptation and not just a something that was crammed through a process that just pumps something out. So that's like but animation, oh my God, like Japan has such fucking terrible, Jesus Christ, like they've got to figure that shit out. They can't just keep paying people like that and treating, like, it's a pretty dehumanizing experience to be involved in the anime production process, unfortunately. And I feel like every time, like, there's a I mean, I don't want to promote other podcasts, but Trash Taste recently had an animator on as like one of their guests, and
we'll bleep that. We'll bleep that out.
No, for real. Trash Taste, which is a great podcast. Bleep. Obviously, they're massive compared to our podcast. They have like 1 million subs. They get like millions of views every episode. Beside the point, they had an animator on, one of the best episodes they've ever had, because listening to the animator just talk about the process and the method and what he went through to get the job and to become an animator, just an incredibly interesting podcast. Listening to that. So if you want to go check it out, go check out Trash Taste. First, if for some reason you're listening to our podcast and you don't know who they are, almost impossible.
Hopefully, there's a few out there. There's a few of you guys out there.
They're out there somewhere. Okay, boys, let's wrap this puppy up, guys.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like this is it.
Yeah.
So, very good. We want to make an announcement.
Yes.
We're going to be doing a new giveaway.
Oh, Kenny!
Oh, damn! Wait,
particular,
that's a dope pop.
For a giveaway, this is Neji Ray Hato.
Kenny, here's what I'm gonna say. If you made it this far in the episode and you're listening to this part of the episode, okay, I want you to direct message us on Instagram, direct message
DM
at the Uncensored Anime Podcast. We're gonna put no information about this giveaway in the. We're not going to put it anywhere. The only way that you can know about this giveaway is if you watch the end of this episode and you direct message us on Instagram and just say, I don't know, hashtag Nejire or something. Does that sound good, guys? Direct message us, hashtag Nejire, and we will know that you are entered in to the process to potentially...
There's going to be 3 requirements. So first, you're going to have to smash that like button right below. You're also going to have to make sure that you subscribe to the channel unless you're already subscribed. Which, if you are already subscribed, thank you so much. And then the third thing, you're going to have to direct message us on our IG, on our Instagram, with the hashtag Nejire, and then do hashtag Nejire giveaway.
Yeah, perfect. Nejire giveaway.
Nejire giveaway.
Yes, obviously you need to like, subscribe, comment, do all that shit.
Yeah.
I say it every episode. We're going to check to make sure you did all that other stuff if you do message us. So make sure you're doing all that, following us on Instagram, all that good stuff. And we'll know if you message us on Instagram and you're not following us, it'll literally tell us in the message that you're not following us. So you have to follow us on Instagram, follow us here on YouTube. We can't really check if you follow us on Spotify and stuff, but we would really love it if you go over and follow us on Spotify and give us a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts. That helps the podcast just to grow and get more viewers and get more eyes on it. So make sure you guys are doing all that if you've enjoyed listening to us again today. We had a lot of fun today covering more. This is our format. We've been doing this for 20 episodes now. This is the format. You know, we review anime and we talk about anime news. That's just what we do, guys.
One more thing about the giveaway. What we'll do, I think we can do 2 more episodes or 1 more episode, and then we'll do a raffle. So what we'll do is we'll probably promote this for 1 more episode, and then after we air that next episode, that's when we'll stop it, and then we'll do a raffle, and then we'll announce the winner at the following episode. So I think that'll work out right.
Neture is going to sit behind me as a reminder. I think for giveaways in the future, we may even just start sneaking things in behind us that are for giveaway, and we'll mention them at the end of the episodes. So that's
a great idea, Kitty.
For our fans in the future, obviously I'm not giving away this stuff. Okay, this is part
of that.
Wait, you don't want to give away that rainbow rare?
No. If there is ever something sitting in this location behind my head, most likely there's a giveaway at the end of the episode that we will mention. Because I'm in a position now where I'm trying to get rid of some of my collectible stuff, and you know what? Why not give it to people that want it out here on the Uncensored Anime Podcast?
Right. Well, we love it. And Kitty, I just noticed we haven't done an Unraveled in a couple episodes. I feel like we need to, not tonight, but I think we're gonna.
No, here's a good one. Okay.
Oh, Kitty's gonna give us. This is a secret. You are 2 hours into this podcast.
Here is
a secret Unraveled.
Here's a quick Unraveled over.
He's got it.
I started a manga that I think you guys know. It's called High Rise Invasion. Okay. This starts out and you're like, okay, you know what? I think I'm understanding what's going on, right? There's some masked guys that are trying to kill our people, but no, actually, depending on the face of the mask, right? If there's no mouth, it means it turns you into a god candidate. What the fuck's a god candidate? I don't goddamn know, okay? But if it's a mad mask, the angry masks, I think are like,
are they guardian angels? Isn't that what they're called?
Guardian angels? Yeah, they're like administrators, I think. I don't even know if they're actually under the control of the mask or not, okay?
No idea.
Then some masks don't work, and they let you maintain your person. And so you follow this girl, Yuri Hanjo, okay? And she, for real, is just like the ultimate survival horror hero. She's Jill Valentine. That's who she is. And she's out here, and she was almost a Jill sandwich. Let's be honest, okay? And somehow she finds this other girl who, like, puts on a mask, but then the mask doesn't work on her regularly. And then they fight this guy who's a sniper, and turns out it's her brother's friend. Also, her brother's here. I don't know why. Their phones work. Only other people. Also, she breaks like 5 phones. She's constantly losing phones, and yet they're somehow getting more phones. She loses her phone in episode 1. She crushes a phone in episode 6. There's like an immense amount of phones. Everybody's got phones, and they all communicate through them.
Well, masks have phones too. Like at one point, Cyber Mask takes the mask. He takes the phone off a mask, but he realizes he can't use phones because he forgot how. Yeah, I was like, what?
He's like, I'm fucking stupid or something. I don't know how to work phones. They might as well just do a big conference call with all of the phones together. So yeah, basically that's High Rise Invasion. It fucking spins off the rails pretty quickly.
Kenny's random unraveling of the show we reviewed tonight. Thank you, Kenny.
Meta as fuck.
I think that if you have never heard of any of the shows that I've unraveled up to this point, that gives you a pretty firm idea of what the fuck goes on.
Right. Okay? If this is your first time having watched the show and then watch our review and then watch Kenny's Unraveled, now you know what Kenny's talking about when he unravels the fuck out of these animes.
Because anime loves to drip feed you. We're like just a little bit
Kenny
of each, and because it's like chapter to chapter, week to week, you're like, this is not ridiculous. And then you look back on it and you're like, this is fucking ridiculous. Right.
A show that I really want us to talk about one day is Hajime no Ippo, because I've heard that it unravels pretty hard around like chapter.
It's like 1,000+ chapters.
Yeah, I heard it around boxing? Like chapter 800 or 900. It gets a little twisty turvy, man.
Is it all animated?
No, they haven't animated anywhere near. No, I think there's like 100 episodes of animated version, but you kind of have to read the manga. But I want us to. I don't know enough about it, but I was doing some research the other night, and lots of people feel like 800 to like 1100 is like when the author really like lost his way. Like something's going on in there. I'm just so curious, like what happened in chapters 800 to 1100 of a boxing anime?
Of a boxing manga, right?
Yeah, like what?
They just box, don't they?
I gotta find out, Jerry. I gotta find out.
Boxing in the current arc, they're back to doing some good boxing and stuff. I don't know if it like goes out of like being a boxing, but maybe like the context around the boxing gets more ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna have to with sports animes, you always have to raise the bar. Haikyuu, it's like, okay, they won the regional, so they have to go to the national. They won the national, they have to go to the worlds. Like that's kind of it's like, how does a manga about sports last for 1,100 or 1,300 plus chapters and it's still going?
Yeah,
he must have raised the bar. Who knows? Maybe they boxed on the moon or something. I don't know. But that's the kind of ridiculousness that I'd imagine. Like a sports anime had to do something. So I'm curious. I'm so curious. One day we'll have to get to it. Okay. Again, thank you for being here on the Uncensored Anime Podcast. Thank you for listening to us. It is a great pleasure and joy of ours to be able to continue to talk about anime every single week. And we're going to keep trying to bring you guys new episodes every single Friday. And hopefully this will be out on a Friday and you'll get another episode the Friday after that. And like we said at the beginning of this episode, we are going to be bringing you our spring anime first impressions in just a couple weeks, probably about 3 weeks from now. We'll be giving you our spring anime first impressions, one of our favorite things to do every anime season. And on that note, make sure that you guys like, comment, subscribe, do all of that across all of our platforms because it helps us to grow. It helps the Uncensored Anime Podcast to keep bringing you fun and exciting content because the more that we're able to grow, the more fun that we're able to have, the more community we're able to build as well. So we're really excited to continue to bring you guys exciting and fun podcast episodes. So on that note, this is the Uncensored Anime Podcast signing off, guys. Peace.